I'm Christopher Schwartz. I'm the editor of Popular Woodworking Magazine. And today, here in the shop in Cincinnati, we have Mark and Nicole Spagnolo. Mark is the Wood Whisperer. And I think the first question that we want to ask is, first off, tell us a little bit about what is the Wood Whisperer, and do you actually whisper to wood, and where that came about, and what your site is all about.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. The Wood Whisperer is, by the way, this is my wife, Nicole. She's the other half of the Wood Whisperer.
Hello.
She does a lot of behind-the-scenes work for us. The Wood Whisperer is more of a play on words. I'm sure everybody's heard of the ghost whisperer, the horse whisperer. It's meant to mean that we understand the higher calling of wood, that it's not just a plank sitting there. It's something that is waiting to become something else, that we can create. So it's sort of just a play on that. But in reality, the Wood Whisperer is really a blog, a website, a video. It's sort of a whole multimedia experience that we've put together. And the primary thing that we do is our videos. So it's more or less meant to be training videos, educational videos that have a sense of humor, that also have a decent amount of entertainment value. So that it's not just about the woodworking, it's about the lifestyle, it's about my relationship with my wife sometimes. It's meant to make you laugh and realize that woodworking doesn't have to be a solemn solo activity. It can sort of be fun, community-based, and a lot of people can put in their 2 cents, and that's what the blog allows us to do. So we write articles, we post a video, we may get 30 or 40 comments if it's something that excites people. So it's really sort of a community thing that we're trying to create there.
One of the things that you hear about is that the Wood Whisperer is a podcast.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know what a podcast is. So maybe you could give us 2 seconds on what a podcast is and how most people are probably already watching them and using them without even knowing them.
Sure. Yeah, the worst thing that could have happened is someone created a word that no one ever heard of before and coined a new term when all they could have said was online audio or online video. The concept of podcast is really just content that's been created online for distribution online via some of the new methods that we have. A lot of you may be familiar with RSS, which stands for really simple syndication. The idea is basically it's a way of sending content out to people. Typically, to call it a podcast, it usually has an RSS feed attached to it, meaning that people can use a feed aggregator that pulls all of this information in. The simplest way to think about it, podcast is media that you can consume online. Really, it's just video. And in fact, a lot of people are pushing to get away from using that term. They want to call it netcast, right? Because that kind of makes a little bit more sense. It's content that's online for the most part. What we do happens to be video, but it's still called a podcast.
You also do audio.
We do audio as well with Wood Talk Online. And you don't need to subscribe or anything. If you don't want to, you can view it right there on the website, and you're still watching the podcast. Saying podcast is nothing different than saying TV show or radio show. It's just another type of media with a new name.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the woodworking. What sort of woodworking do you like to do, and how you got into it? A lot of people get into woodworking through some home improvement. Tell us a little bit about your path and how you made it from guy at home to world famous podcaster.
Well, I'm still just a guy at home with a bigger camera than I had last year. The woodworking side of it, I would say that I'm heavily influenced by a lot of David Mark's work. That was really my inspiration in the beginning to start with this stuff, as I was doing some home improvement projects like you mentioned. And watching Woodworks was the way that I realized there's some greater things that we can do out there with the tools that I already had. So it was that was the fire that was kind of lit under me, and I think that's where I tend to go back to with my own furniture a lot of times. A lot of more modern Japanese-influenced furniture is really where, if I'm left to my own devices, that's where my furniture typically winds up going, whether or not she thinks it looks good in the house.
I get it anyway.
We have so many mismatched pieces of furniture that we have no idea what to do with. They just go in a corner until someone wants to see it when they visit, and we pull it out. But that's really where my style typically goes. But like anyone else, I need to push my limits. I need to go into areas that I'm not necessarily comfortable working in. I do a lot of freeform carving and things in my pieces, and just try to push the limits of what I can do without the guidelines of pencil lines and squares and things like that. And that's something that I'm pretty comfortable doing. But I'd like to bring some of that into more traditional types of furniture. Maybe look at some period furniture and see how I might morph that into something, which I guess someone might consider that almost sacrilegious, but I'd like to see what I can do with that to make it something that I would want in my home, So I think really at this point, I'm really trying to branch out a little bit more and get, like everyone should, try to get away from your comfort zone as often as possible, because that's the way you challenge yourself and become better.
So what do you think is the future of bringing people into the craft? Is a big question that faces everybody who's into teaching people about the craft. Do you see websites and video podcasts and blogs as sort of the path to the future?
I think they are absolutely the path to the future. I think my answer might be a little biased here. What we've experienced in the past year and a half has been really life-changing, to realize the community that we've created, and the people who visit our site on a regular basis are just amazing. I mean, these are the most passionate people who just love woodworking, and it doesn't matter what religion they are, it doesn't matter where they're from, what part of the country, how much money they make. We all are sort of united by this common thing in woodworking. And the fact that we create this environment where a beginner is just as welcome as a seasoned professional who has something to offer everyone else, it just makes a really, really good, sort of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to really put words to it. It's a very exciting thing that gets me excited about woodworking still, makes me want to go on to the next project. I think the medium itself, this whole podcasting concept, the blogging, I really do think it's got to be where this stuff comes from in the future. I mean, I think magazines will always be there. I think DVDs, just your job is okay. You're safe. Don't worry about it. I think all the traditional media outlets will still be there, but I think the internet is going to play a major role, I think, in terms of what people aren't able to get. I mean, think about how many, just to sort of stereotype, how many 30-something guys, and certainly 30-something gals, they get a new house, they've got some stuff that they want to put in, they don't necessarily have enough money to buy a bunch of nice furniture, and they have that bug. There's something in them that if they just saw the right thing that inspired them, it could turn into something great. For me, it was catching an episode of Woodworks. For someone else, maybe they're looking, how can I create this very simple arts and crafts table so I don't have to buy it from Crate and Barrel? How do I make that? And they go online and they find a blog entry where someone built this table, and they could see it from start to finish, and they don't have to pay a dime for it. But now they know how to build it, and they're sort of drawn into that experience. Something they weren't able to get in school because that program isn't in school anymore. So I sort of see it as a way for the people who kind of have the potential to move in that direction. That's where they're going to get their first exposure to it. And we found that experience on our website. We have a ton of people in our position, relatively new homeowners who maybe have done a project or two around the house, maybe put a closet in or something, and realize, wow, I can make something as beautiful as this bookcase right here. And hopefully may not be certainly not the only place people will learn about woodworking, but hopefully be a vital place, a very important place.
Okay. And great, one last question. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Wood Talk Online, the show that you do with Matt Vanderlist from Matt's Basement Workshop. And it's a great show. I guess you do it about every week?
We try to.
We try to do it every week. And it's kind of the click and clack of the woodworking world where, there's a lot of woodworking discussed, but there's also a lot of other stuff. And so the question I think we all want to know, and maybe this is more for Nicole, is have you seen Matt's stretchy pants?
Have you?
No, I haven't even seen Matt.
Oh, really?
No, we do all that through,
He's the greatest guy that we've never met.
Yeah, we've never met Matt, which I think is amazing. That speaks volumes to the technology. It's all done through Skype, which is a free software that you can make phone calls basically on the internet. So
yeah, when I first started the podcast, the only other woodworking podcast out there was Matt's Basement Workshop, and it was an audio show, just a guy talking into one microphone, talking about what he did in the shop this week. And I was like, this is great. I got to contact this guy. So I started doing the video thing, and we just hit it off. And I said, look, man, why don't we do a show? 2 is better than 1. You know, you do your show, I'll do my show, and we'll do one together. And that's really where it all started. And just, I mean, when two guys just sit there and talk about woodworking, obviously the topics are going to stray a little bit. I mean, we try to keep it focused, but as you know, your name gets brought up a lot. I mean, we talk about some funny things, and stretchy pants is one of them. Matt needs some relief when he eats Thanksgiving dinner, and his stretchy pants came into the conversation. He admitted having them, so that was a blast. But yeah, it's definitely, Wood Talk Online is a lot of fun. It's a way for us to exercise the audio format, which is so much easier than video. So we enjoy the process, I think.
Well, thanks for coming by to the shop today, and we had a good time, and I'm sure all of this is going to be played out online for the next month or two as we relive this day and all the noises that we made. So do check out the Wood Whisperer, and also Matt's Basement Workshop and Wood Talk Online are both good places to get started if you're interested in the video podcasting or just exploring what is on the web that relates to woodworking. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Chris.
Appreciate it. You know,